Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Ma'am Nina and everyone. So today I will present my analyzing about Buddhist speaking challenge in cognitive and interactionist approach. So before I begin to the deeper explanation, let me give you the explanation about the overview of this case first. So next. Okay, this case is about Budi. Budi is student, 21 years old, and he is taking an English for academic purpose course. He is a person who has English proficiency, but he get challenged in speaking. But he has good writing skills, but when he is speaking, he lack of pronunciation. And the friends, instead of helping him to make a pronunciation better, his friend was tend to laugh or ask Budi to repeat his mistake, and it makes Budi unconfident to speak fluent. And not only from the classroom, Budi also have a background. Budi comes from a rural background with limited access to authentic English input. And also, his parents not really support about English academic, and this environment make him difficult to practice speaking effectively. Okay, after we know about the overview, I will take to the explanation about the theory framework. Next. All right. First, I will explain about the data. I took this data from Microsoft Teams that Memina has given the journal. It's from Kiao, and according to Kiao, second language learning is multiplicated phenomenon that is defined by two key factors. The first is learners' communicative needs in individual identity. That means it's related to cognitive theory and also social dynamic attitude toward the second language community. That means it related to interactionist theory. And why I didn't put behaviors theory here, because Budi is not someone who just study English. He is not the beginner. He has the proficiency of English, but the level is still low, maybe in A1 or A2. And this case is related to the theory of cognitivism first. It's about the internal mental process. This theory was proposed by psychologist Jean Piaget, and in classroom, learners are encouraged to reframe ideas and self-monitoring to develop metacognitive awareness to improve how they approach learning tasks. So, based on this search, internal mental process that feels we can use self-monitoring for ourselves to make metacognitive awareness so that we can evaluate our work. So in language learning, learners need to first notice the gap between their own pronunciation and the correct form, because it's really important to make a better pronunciation and also store this information in memory. After we evaluate the pronunciation, we should put this memory in our mind so that it can be a long-term memory, and also adjust their output. So we can adjust what we have taught, and also what we have get from another vocabulary. And the related theory in Buddhist case is Buddhi rarely notice his pronunciation mistake because his friend is laughing for him, is not making better for his pronunciation. And also he got lack self monitoring and awareness because hasn't been aware with himself. And also he get low motivation, and he become avoid speaking and get the fossilized errors because he doesn't get the self monitoring by himself. And next. Okay, the second theory is about interactionist theory. Why I put this theory? Because the classroom and also the environment is really important in this case. So interactionist theory have three related points. The first is social interaction and also a negotiation of meaning and corrective feedback. So based on Long's interaction hypothesis, in 1996, L2 learning improved through comprehensible input, supportive feedback, and also negotiation of meaning. And what we have to know is the feedback should be positive and also corrective. It's not negative, but we can evaluate it with positive and corrective feedback. And the auto learning can be developed by providing opportunities to receive comprehensible input, negative feedback to modify their own output, and notice gap in their interlanguage. So, if the teacher will want to give negative feedback, she or his teacher also should give the correction, not only the negative feedback. And the related to this case is classroom like supportive interaction because his friend doesn't support Buddy's skill, and also peers laugh instead of giving feedback. In the classroom, Buddy get unconfident because his friend doesn't support him. And also the teacher then provides scaffolding. And the limited practice increase low confidence. Okay, next. Alright, after we talk about the theory, I will give the analysis case. So the first about the individual difference, the first about motivation. Budi is motivated to improve his English, but his anxiety and lack of confidence reduce his willingness to speak. He is actually able in writing, but when come to speak, he got really unconfident and anxiety. So he got low confidence. And not only motivation, aptitude. He has potential to learn, but limited exposure and practice prevent him from developing his language skill effectively. So, because the environment doesn't support him, he doesn't believe himself to talk in English. And the learning style, he prefers silent observation rather than active participation, which limit his speaking opportunities. So he has unbalanced learning style where he can write well, he is able in writing, but he is not really able in speaking. So he should balance between writing and also speaking. And next, the sociocultural factor. The first is high power distance because Budi feels hesitant to interact directly and limits his participation. Because when Budi speaks something, his friend judge him. So it makes Budi have gap to interact with his friend. And also the classroom norms. In this Buddhist classroom, they tolerate laughter and ridicule, makes Buddhi afraid of making mistake. So instead of making a free classroom to be free to make mistake, this classroom really tolerate something bad, and this make Buddhi have a lower motivation. And after that, there is cultural value. This associate failure with shame that makes Woody more unwilling and anxious. Why it makes shame? Because when Woody says something, his friend laugh for him, and this really make Woody anxiety and embarrassment. And the last is socioeconomic factors. The first is family background because Budi comes from rural and lower socioeconomic backgrounds, so they don't really get good access to study English in the better way, and also limited access to research. His family has limited access to technology and qualified course to authentic English input because his family in rural community, the access is really limited and the lack exposure opportunity. The unsupportive learning environment limits his exposure to correct pronunciation models. So therefore, why he cannot do practicing speaking effectively. And disclaimer, this case analysis is based on my opinion, but the grammar has been corrected by Quillbot. And I don't really use a lot of AI here. Okay, next. And the purpose strategy. So, after we talk about the analysis, this is the strategy to make Buddhist better. So the first is cognitive approach. We can make a good learning habit. You can balance between writing, speaking, listening, and also reading to make Buddhist skills will be balanced. And also practice pronunciation awareness. The practicing can be from the teacher or from the course that Buddhi follows and not in the classroom. And this will help Buddhi to to be better in pronunciation and without judging from anyone. And then use technology to visualize idea because now Buddhi is a student and he is not really in rural community again. He can use technology, AI, or maybe application like Elsa Speak so that he can try the pronunciation without judging from his friend. And also regular self-monitoring. As I mentioned in the cognitive approach, self-monitoring really important to evaluate our work to get better. Okay, next. And then there are interactionist approach. So when cognitive is coming from our internal mental process, it means from ourselves. So interactionists come from the external process, from the social and from the background. So the first, the external environment should make safe speaking environment. So instead of having a bad impression when Buddhists speak English in a bad pronunciation, his his classmate should make a good safe speaking so that Budi can express himself freely. And also positive feedback and self affirmation. So instead of making Budi low confident and also laugh to him when he made a mistake, so the teacher or the friend should make positive feedback and self-affirmation so that Budi will be able to study more about speaking. And also gradual exposure. So gradual exposure really important because it will make Buddhist pronunciation better in the regular time. And the last is peer monitoring. When the Buddhist friends are people who judge him, so the teacher should compare it. The teacher should select who are the people can support Buddhi and who are the people who are not support Buddhi. Okay, next. And then this is the reflection. So from this case, based on myself, I got some value, and thus the language learning is not only about understanding grammar, but it has complex factors such as self-emotional, social environment, and social and economic factors. So when you're studying English, you don't really need to understand all of the grammar when you have good environment, good parents, and also good course, you can study English in the better way. And then the cognitive and interactionist theory can be used side by side because they show how learners process language internally, use the cognitive, and also meaningful feedback and supportive communication from the interactionist theory, and it's really necessary for the real progress. And the last, as a future English teacher, I reflect and I would create a classroom where mistakes are acceptable and no judging from the friend. And beside that, I would give supportive feedback and make sure every student feels respected and confident in enjoying the materials. So I, as the future English teacher, I will make an enjoyable classroom and everyone can feel free to make mistake and to ask something and to improve themselves. And next, okay, this is the reference. Some of the reference I took from the Microsoft Teams reference giving by Mem Nina, and another I took from article in Google. So that's all from me. Thank you for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.